Hi, welcome to Community Spotlight. I'm Cheryl Girl, and we have got a great show lined up for you. We've got a very special guest in the house this evening, Mr. Anthony Kent. Welcome to the show. You ready to have some fun?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Now, let me tell you what you need to do right now. If you've got any young people in your house, if you know any young folks, if you have anybody in college or we've got some great advice for you because Anthony has written a new book. It's called The Youth Advisor, A Young Adult's Guide to Success, and the information in it is absolutely amazing. Now, I know your main goal is talking to young people and getting them on track to be successful in life and school, right?
Correct.
Okay, but also in the book, there's so much information that regardless of what age you are, all people can learn something from it. So what I want to do, we've talked before, and we covered a lot of different things about how to get your kids ready to be successes in college. If you want to give me a quick overview of the book, that'd be a great jump off place, because then after that, I've got some questions for you. Because after the first show, people were like, we want to know this and we want to know that. So tell me a little bit about your book and why you wrote it.
Okay. Well, The Youth Advisor is all about a young adult's journey from high school all the way to retirement. The book provides a wealth of knowledge.
Retirement from like their careers?
Yeah, focusing on the financial piece
Okay.
of retirement.
All right, that covers a lot of territory.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Because there's always the end goal ahead, so you need to worry about that. But in addition, it provides a wealth of information as far as what decisions you should make concerning your education, budgeting, as well as investing. So overall, the book focuses on academic success, financial success, as well as effective decision-making skills.
Well, it seems like in your book, we're covering that this the conversation that a lot of parents never actually have with their children, telling them how to handle money, how to think about money. So, and because a lot of times they don't have the information, but when you pick up your book, you can get this, right?
Correct.
Okay, now let me ask you, because if anyone didn't see the other show, why are you actually an expert in this area? What's been your background? What type of work have you done to let us know that I want my kids to actually listen to this and I need to listen to you?
Well, I have over 10 years of experience in project management as well as financial services. I've worked for some large institutions such as NASA, Bank of America.
NASA? Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, Bank of America.
Did you feel as cool as it is? Because I mean, I'd be so. If I worked for NASA?
Yeah, it was definitely an awesome opportunity. So it's first job out of college.
Wow.
It's pretty much a dream come true. If you think about it, growing up, you wanted to be an astronaut. You always thought about space. You kind of always wanted to be that individual that could ride in the space shuttle.
Right.
You grew up watching movies like Apollo, different movies that always focus on outer space.
And
so
suddenly you're living out a fantasy right there. Wow.
Definitely.
And then what other companies have you worked with?
Worked for Bank of America.
Okay.
One of the largest bank in the world.
In the world, okay. Yes.
Wells Fargo, definitely one of the top 5 banks as well. Wachovia.
So you know what you're talking about.
Correct.
And a little background, you are from where originally?
I was born in Charleston, South Carolina.
But raised?
In Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay, where'd you go to high school?
EastMec.
Okay, what about college?
Undergraduate at Winston-Salem State.
Okay.
And grad school at Winthrop University.
So you are an expert in your field.
Correct.
So when people pick up the book, The Youth Advisor, we know that we're talking to somebody that knows what they're talking about and they are a success. So let's get down to it. Okay, I got some questions for you. Now, we talked about you dreaming of working at NASA and being an astronaut, but have you ever had any other dreams about what you would be when you grew up, Anthony?
Well, it's funny that you asked that. At a young age, I definitely grew up watching basketball.
Basketball.
I loved athletes, and just like a lot of other young adults, I wanted to be Michael Jordan. I wanted to be the next athlete.
Okay.
Of course, that did not happen, but that was my dream.
And that's pretty cool. And now, do you, in your book, do you cover any of the things that would be of interest to someone who may have that same dream of being an athlete?
I definitely do. So there's a chapter in the book about sports and education. So it talks about the understanding of you can be an athlete, but you also need to have your education in mind as well. Understanding that being an athlete on a professional level is definitely a dream, and not many people make it to that stage. But if you do make it to that stage, if you don't, you need to make sure you have a solid education.
So that you don't end up broke.
Correct.
Because we see that, you look at TMZ or these different shows, and they're always showing you some athlete who is making all this crazy money, and all of a sudden they're filing for bankruptcy, or they're absolutely broke, not just filing for bankruptcy. They are living in poverty. Can we get information from your project to find out how to prevent that?
Definitely. Well, right now, currently, a lot of the athletes that are leaving basketball, football, 68% of them end up being broke within 5 years.
Are you kidding me?
Correct.
When they've made millions of dollars?
Millions of dollars.
Because nobody had the money talk with them.
Correct.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I noticed somebody, you probably need to send a copy of this too. Now, let me ask you about this. What made you say, okay, you've got all this great information, you've got the education. Why did you feel like the need to share it, and to even write the book?
Well, basically, I started to reflect on my life as I got older. And I started recognizing that there were a lot of things I learned that I figured out that people were learning 10, 15 years ago when they were a lot younger. And a lot of that had to do with your background and your parents and their level of education and their understanding. And because of that, I wanted to provide our youth with a tool to help them get ahead. So think about if you have information 10 years later, you can expedite your life.
True. If I had only known then what I know now.
You'd be rich. And that's one of the first quotes in my book.
Really? Okay. Correct. Okay. Well, you know what? And that's such a great idea because people say it all the time. But you put all this wealth of information you have an experience. Did you ever go through anything bad, or has it all been like, okay? Because being a project manager, you do a lot of planning and details. But in real life, have you did you ever go through anything that said, you know what? I've done it the hard way. Let me tell somebody a better way. Because it seems like you probably got it all perfect. Did you?
Well, coming up, everything wasn't roses. I come from very humble beginnings. My parents didn't go to school, but they tried their hardest, so they can only tell me what they knew. Some things I didn't learn growing up was about financing, budgeting, investing. Those are some critical pieces that I did not understand, like the importance of, like I said earlier in the last segment, reading a dictionary, encyclopedia, reading a lot of books. Those are things that would have expedited my growth at a younger age. So
now you mentioned investing. You are talking mainly to young kids, middle school, high school, college. You're talking to them about investing?
Correct.
Really?
Correct.
In a way that's understandable? Because if you can teach it to a middle school kid, you could probably teach it to somebody my age.
Correct. So the book is definitely an easy read. And the reason why I put investing in retirement in the book is because a lot of kids have those conversations with their parents at a very young age. And the thing about investing is that when you learn it early on, it's not a foreign language. You're not afraid of it. If you start to learn about investing in stocks and mutual funds at a later age, it might be a little intimidating.
A lot intimidating, because I'm sitting here thinking, I don't ever recall my daddy saying, okay, Cheryl, come on, we're going to talk about investing today. I don't recall that conversation.
But the reality is those conversations are being held with young adults, depending on your parents' background and their understanding of finances and financing and budgeting.
We need more of these conversations.
Correct.
Okay. And so if I bring my kids in and I hear you speaking, you can take me from 0 to, I won't say 100, but you can take me from A to Z on how to at least learn the language and get started in investing?
Correct.
You can tell me and my 8th grader how to start preparing for retirement.
Correct.
Wow. Okay. So now, give me an overview of how you do that. What do you tell somebody who is a freshman in college or on their very first job about the first thing they need to learn about investing?
So a couple of pieces. So when you're in college, of course, ultimately you're going to graduate, right?
Hopefully.
Well, once you do graduate and you start working, you're going to start earning an income, right? So you need to figure out, how do I spend that money, right? You're understanding your budgeting side of the house, building your credit, and as well as investing. So you're going to go to an employer. More likely you have a retirement plan, which will more likely be a 401k,
right?
So
for 401k.
So understanding where is your money going, mutual funds, different stocks, and you need to understand that when you're younger, you have the world ahead of yourself. So there's opportunity. There's more opportunity for risk. You can be involved in more riskier securities. You shouldn't be worried about being in low risk, moderate securities, because if you do lose money, you have time to regain those funds. So understanding the risk side of the house, and then understanding, well, you have to have a plan set in place. So let's say when you retire, you have to have this amount of money to retire. Understanding how much money you need to be saving and investing to reach that goal, because you don't want to get to your retirement age around 63, 65, and then you look at your finances, you say, hey, I don't have enough money now.
And that's reality for a lot of people.
And reality is, for us, for people my age or younger, Social Security is probably not going to be around.
Wow. So you have to get ready to take care of yourself.
Definitely. And outside of just having a retirement plan, most jobs nowadays don't offer pensions. So that's not accessible.
I've never worked on a job that had a pension.
Correct.
And I've been working a long time. I see executives having it, but I've never been in a place where I've been, oh, you've got a pension coming up.
Okay.
So you've got a plan.
Yeah. And then outside of it as well, even your 401k will not be sufficient enough for you to retire. So you need to have alternative ways to make more money.
Are you talking about like starting your own business or something?
Oh,
or what do you mean?
Definitely. As far as investing goes, I'm more so talking about you having a brokerage account.
Right.
So there's a brokerage account will allow you to buy stocks, bonds, do other things that you couldn't do in a normal retirement account. And this is going to help you build towards your retirement goal.
And the whole point of you putting this project together is that you're catching kids on the front end.
Correct.
Middle school, to get them prepared to know what to do starting at high school and college and then in life.
Correct. So, and like I said, you want to have those conversations early on. As a young adult, you should want to understand different companies, what products and services they offer, when are they doing their IPO. You want to have those regular conversations.
Which gets back to knowing the language. When are they doing their IPO? Learning this at an early age so you can be comfortable with it.
Correct.
Because I think sometimes the conversation about money and, it's kind of taboo. It's almost more taboo than having the sex talk with your kids. Talking about money, because sometimes parents are in a position like, how much do they want to say? Or how much do they know? So you can bring the kids to Anthony and they can get this information and get started and work out a plan. How important is planning to life in general?
Well, it's definitely critical.
Is it?
And from a planning perspective, having a background in project management, it's a life cycle.
Okay, I hate to be the dummy here. I've never been a project manager, but I see that title and I was like, what does a project manager actually do? Like, I'm going to be in charge, or it's more than just wanting to be the boss? What do you do when you say, okay, I'm in charge here?
So what project management is all about organization. So you kind of have a life cycle, right? So you have initiation, you have an idea, you have a goal, right? Then you have planning. Well, how do you reach that goal, right? So if you look at that in terms of your own life, what are your dreams? What do you want to be when you grow up? Do you want to go to college? Do you want to be a lawyer? Do you want to be a doctor, attorney, a business owner? Well, you have to have a plan set to get there, right? It's just not going to happen overnight. So with project management, you have planning, right? And then you have execution. So what steps are you taking to reach your goal? And along the way, are you checking off, hey, well, I did this, I did that.
Well, that makes sense.
Now I'm getting closer to the end, so you have closing. So closing is the end state. Did you reach your goal? Or if you didn't reach your goal, how far away are you from it? Then you have to go back and replan things, make some adjustments to your plan, because in life, things are going to always change. And it's always about making those adjustments to reach your goal.
And so when you look at these kids, what do you see? Why the children? Why didn't you just say, hey, I'm going to talk to grown-ups, talk to people who already have money? Why are you reaching out to young people?
Well, a few things. When you're younger, it's easier for you to learn a different way of doing things.
Right.
You're more acceptable to that. You're more open to things, right? As you get older, you might be a little set in your ways. You might not be open. Of course, it all depends on people's personalities, but it's best to reach individuals while they're younger so you can mold them and direct them and guide them.
Well, and why is that important to you? Who molded and directed you and guided you?
So I had a few people in my life that came in and out, but like I said, I didn't have a constant mentor. As I'm older now, I understand the need for mentorship. So no matter how old you are, you need mentors. Even Maya
That's
Angelou
true. Yeah.
had mentors. Some of the most successful people in the world have mentors. Everyone needs mentorship. Because if you think in terms of this, you only one brain.
Right.
But when you have other mentors, you get access to more brains. People, you can always learn from different people's perspectives, direction, and you want that guidance. And the whole purpose of the Youth Advisor is to give you that guidance in a book. So if you're not fortunate enough to have someone in your family or someone immediately, at least you have a tool that you can use to answer some of the questions and give you perspective and kind of make you knowledgeable about certain things in life.
So if we wanted to ask you some questions in person, do you have any events coming up?
Well, actually, this Saturday, July 18th, at Apostrophe Lounge from 1:30 to 3 p.m., I'll be having a book launch.
Okay.
So this would be an opportunity for guests to come out and they can hear excerpts read from the book. They will also be able to provide book reviews and testimonies and learn more about the products and services that I offer. And for this event, I'm asking that community leaders, youth leaders, educators, and anyone else interested in learning more about
Excuse me.
that's okay. Anyone else interested in learning more about the Youth Advisor to come out for an opportunity to network and much more.
So now, what youth groups have you worked with? Any in the community? Any schools or?
I've been working with church youth programs, charter schools.
Tell us which ones. Shout them out, because people always want to know when you've been to their church. Like, he said our name on TV.
Well, actually, more recently, I've worked with Friendship Missionary Baptist Church, so they have an eighth grade. So they have an 8th grade academy. So roughly 15 to 17 kids. So I just sat down with them and had like a 2-hour discussion and presentation. So we talked about what success looks like. What are your goals? What are your dreams? How do you reach those dreams? So I had them document everything they wanted to do.
You made them write it down.
You have to plan everything out. You have to get it on paper so you can always go back and look. And I told the kids, hey, well, a lot of kids want to be doctors. Some of them want to be athletes, want to be business owners. And I made them understand that you can be anything you want to be. You just have to plan. And also too, you have to let people know what you want to do. Share your information. Utilize the knowledge that other people have. That's the only way you can reach your goal. You can't do it by yourself. Understanding that you need people in your life to help you reach that end state.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And do you have a website that people can go to if they want to, book you to talk to their kids or to their group or to pick up the book?
Yeah, my website is www.theyouthadvisor.com. So you can go in there and actually purchase my book that's on Amazon.com as well as learn about any upcoming events that I have.
Excuse me. Well, let me ask you this. We talked about mentorship. Now, how accomplished do you feel now that you've actually got your book written? Because you got to be pretty proud. You got a lot of good information here. People are picking it up. They're learning things. So how does that make you feel?
Well, now I just feel like sky's the limit. I feel like I can do anything. And with this book, I am now in a position that I can actually help others and give back. I can actually impact the futures of our youth. And my main mission is to be in a position to where I can eliminate educational and economic inequalities. So that's my mission in life.
Okay. Now we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about that. Can you hold on for a second?
Yes.
All right, we're going to talk about some of the questions that the kids have actually asked him. So keep it locked in to Community Spotlight. Are they in there paying attention? Spotlight. I'm Cheryl Girl. Our special guest today, Anthony Kent, the writer behind The Youth Advisor, A Young Adult's Guide to Success. So thank you for coming back to the show. Now, as we left, I had some questions for you. You go out and you talk to young people about successful planning, doing strategic planning for their lives all the way from 8th grade to retirement. So a lot of people can learn a lot from this book. And I've got some questions that the kids have submitted that they wanted to ask you. Is that okay?
It's fine.
You down for that? Can you handle it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you work for NASA, you can handle any question I throw at you.
Okay.
I want to know, what are some of the key things that you need to know before you become an entrepreneur?
Well, first of all, you need to understand that becoming an entrepreneur is not easy.
No.
is not for everyone. And I'm sure you can understand that being an
I
entrepreneur.
mean, but if I'm a boss, I can go to work when I feel like it. I can take off when I feel like it. I can pay myself whatever I want.
That's definitely true, but you have to put yourself in a position to.
Or is that the ideal thing?
That's the ideal. That's the ideal
That's
situation.
not reality. What's the reality?
Reality is that it's not easy.
No.
Definitely not easy. It takes time.
Yes.
You have to invest a lot of time and money, and then also things are never going to go as planned.
Right.
You can plan out as much as you want to, but things don't always go 100% as planned. So you need to be prepared that when obstacles come in your way, you need to have a mitigation plan to kind of get around that. How do you move around?
Okay. So now, well, when you talk to an 8th grader, do they always say they want to own their own business to you?
Well, actually, it depends.
Uh-huh.
You get multiple different answers. Some 8th graders want to be athletes, some want to be doctors, some want to be teachers, a multitude of different professions. Some also, like you said, some people want to be business owners, right? And which is awesome. We need more young adults to be business owners. Everyone shouldn't always have a plan to want to work for someone.
But can I get rich working for someone?
You can.
You can.
You can. It is possible. It is possible. For the majority of us, it is not.
Okay.
That's
what's real. That's what they need to hear.
Because if you look at most structures, let's take like a Fortune 500 company.
Right.
You have a CEO who's up top making millions. Then you might have a couple that's kind of like on his level and makes a couple million. Then you have a lot of people like in the 100,000 range, and then the majority of
Then everybody else.
Then everybody else.
Right.
So if you look at it in terms of that, for you to think that you're going to become rich working for another company is not realistic. Now, it's the corporate America structure in itself is designed for you to live a comfortable life.
Right.
And
but like if you want to be rich.
But if you want to be rich, more than likely, you have to have a plan to own your own business, right? Or if you do stay within that corporate America structure, you just also need to have a plan as well to say, hey, well, I'm investing my money in this, I'm putting my money into that. So there are multiple ways to make money.
Okay. And in your book, The Youth Advisor, when you're talking to young people and you're talking about, being an entrepreneur, how do you get an 8th grader excited about that? How do you get them to be excited about planning for the future, to make money? What are you doing? Because you've got to be telling them something special.
The most important piece is exposure.
Exposure. Just being around someone talking about it?
Exposure and opportunities.
Okay.
So, and like I said, a lot of that goes back to your environment.
Right.
Who are your parents? Who do your parents know? What school do you go to? What programs are you exposed to? Like, for example, take summer programs. There are a lot of summer programs that take students on college tours. So you're getting exposure to different colleges. You might get the opportunity to visit different companies. So let's say if you go to the BMW factory, you're understanding how things work, products and services. You might sit on a business meeting. You're understanding how business works, how the money is made. You might actually have the opportunity to sit with a business owner, ask them questions. So it's all about exposure. Because like I said, let's say, for example, if the only thing you do is watch TV and you watch basketball or different reality shows,
right.
That's the picture in front of you. So those are things that you might want to be. So if you want to be a business owner, it's important that if you're a parent and you want your child to be a business owner, it's important that you expose them to business owners.
That makes perfect sense. Because what they're going to learn from that reality show probably isn't going to help them get better grades in school, right?
Correct.
So now in your book, you cover such a wide range of things. It always comes back to money. So when you're talking to a bunch of kids, what do they ask you about how to get money for school or how to save money? What are some of the things they're throwing at you, Anthony?
Well, a few things. Like you said, how do you get money for school?
That's big. Financial aid.
Financial aid is one piece. Also, you have scholarships.
Yes.
Whether it be academic or an athletic scholarship.
Right.
So whenever you go to school, you definitely want to try to go to school where it's free.
Yeah.
If that's the school you want to go to.
Right.
So, but it's also understanding how do you get that free money.
Right.
Like if you're going to get an academic scholarship, understanding that, well, you need to have the right grades.
Yes.
You need to have the right GPA. You need to get the appropriate test scores to get those scholarships. Also, too, if you realistically want to get an athletic scholarship, Are you practicing?
Are you good enough?
Are you good enough? Are you separating yourself from the competition? And a lot of that goes back to academics. When you're getting better grades or standardized test scores, you're separating yourself from the competition.
Well, speaking of separating, I think one of the big issues for anyone, especially our kids, is peer pressure. So when you talk to youth groups, how are you telling the kids to deal with peer pressure so that they can stay on track and have a successful career?
So probably the most important part of my book
Right.
is about the true stories that are in the book. So the stories are based around situations that students are in, and then what decisions that they make.
Like, give me an example of one of the
So
kids.
one of the main issues that we have in the school system are dropouts.
Dropouts.
And my book is all reflected around understanding that
Are there really that many dropouts?
there's a lot of dropouts.
Do you have any percentages on that or anything?
Well, in the
Because
book,
honestly, I'm just thinking, like, most of my friends in high school, I didn't have any friends who dropped out. But I knew of some people, but no one that was in my close circle did.
oh, definitely. So there's like roughly 1.3 million students that are going to drop out of high school.
Wow.
Which
Like
is
every year?
Yeah, roughly every year.
Oh, my gosh.
There's a large number, right? So with that understanding, you need to, well, if you're a parent or if you're close to a child, you need to make sure that they're focused on staying in school because those decisions are going to have a financial impact down the road, a definite financial impact. So let's say if you do drop out of high school, right?
Right.
Well, how can you get those jobs that require you to have an education, right? So those are things you need to have in mind. Also, too, well, in the future, you might plan on having a family, right? Well, how can you provide for your family
If you dropped out.
if you dropped out of high school? Like, what job opportunities does a dropout have?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. That's just such a great answer. And in your book, you have so many great answers and so much great information. So once again, if we want to talk to you further and about you, some of the information you have, what's your website?
www.theyouthadvisor.com.
And you have a project coming up. We're going to launch your book when?
The book launch is going to be this Saturday, July 18th, at Apostrophe Lounge.
So, and everybody's welcome to come to it, right?
Everybody's welcome. You can go register at www.theyouthadvisor.com.
Well, we want to hear more from you. I wish you the best on your book launch. And I just want to say thank you. I've read most of the book, and there's so much great information. It's not just for kids. It's for anybody that's working on life, and that's all of us. So I really highly recommend that you pick it up, and definitely if you've got kids in your life, they need to read this. I want to thank you for coming out to the show, and I expect to see more books and hear more from you, Anthony. Okay. Well, I'm Cheryl Girl, and welcome. I'm Cheryl Girl. Thank you for coming to Community Spotlight today. We've had a great show. Anthony gave us a lot of good stuff. Make sure you come back and check out our show next week, right here on Access 21.
To write this, Queen. I ain't seen you in a minute. Wrote this letter and finally decided to send it. Signed, sealed, delivered for us to grow together.